Howdy, Dylan with Paul's Axe Portable Sawmill. I wanted to make another one of these videos I've been doing. I found out that they're really helpful for me, and according to a few of my customers, they're helpful for them too. Just to learn a little bit about what all this is and what we're doing, and especially for first-time guys, never done this before, don't know what the hell's going on, and it's kind of a niche market kind of little deal that I do here for a living. So it's been a real asset doing these little videos and putting them on Facebook or YouTube or whatever. People seem to like checking that out and kind of realizing what they're getting into, get a better idea of what's going on. This one is going to be on how I charge for my services and how I schedule the work I do. I'll start with the pricing. I'm not going to get into dollars and cents, mainly because there's other people from other parts of the universe are watching this. It all depends on where you live, what it costs, and I don't want anybody to get the wrong idea that I'll be the same as somebody in your area or whatever. It's kind of specific to where you live, I guess. There's a few different ways that a custom sawyer will charge. The number one way is by the hour. I used to charge by the hour. I still do in some cases, depending on the job. I now charge by the board foot, and that's something that we did 10-15 years ago, and we went to by the hour, and then now I'm back to by the board foot. And there's a lot of reasons for that, but the main reason people charge by the hour is it guarantees the operator's income, more or less. It puts all liability on the customer to have everything kind of set up right, to have good wood, all this and that. The better job site you have, the better logs you have, the better deal you're going to get. Another good reason to charge by the hour is when you're doing kind of unconventional sawing, I guess I would call it, like if you're doing mantles or splitting little rails in half, stuff that's really hard to scale, to figure out how much volume you actually have there. I've done jobs where all I've done all day long is trim the legs off of benches, just oddball stuff like that. Obviously there's no way to scale the volume of wood you're processing that day. It's not conventional sawing. It wouldn't really be fair to anyone to try to charge by the board foot. By the board foot is the way I charge now. Most of the time. What a board foot is a measurement of volume. A board foot in any dimension, for example, a 1x12 8-foot long has 8 board feet in it. It's 1 inch thick, 12 inches wide, 12 inches long. There's 1 board foot times 8 feet, that's 8 board feet. An 8-foot 2x4, factory 2x4, 1.5 by 3.5 by 8 foot, has 3.5 board feet in it. That kind of gives you a rough idea of what kind of volume is in a piece of lumber. A 1x6 8 foot, there's obviously half of what's in a 1x12, there's 4 board feet. And I charge per board foot. I like to have a minimum of 1,000 board feet to come on site. If you have less than that, I will still charge you for 1,000 board feet. I have 2 different rates that I charge for board footage. One specific to 1-inch lumber, which would be 5/4 inch in thickness or less, down to 1 inch in thickness. If we start sawing stuff that's thinner than 1 inch, I still scale it as 1 inch. If I'm going to cut 1/4 inch boards all day long, the amount of time it takes to saw a log compared to cutting 1 inch boards is exponentially longer, and I'm just not going to eat that time. That'll be on you. Yes, it'll save you work in the long run if you need thin paneling or whatever. So you can kind of look at it from both ways. The other rate I have is for what I consider dimensional lumber, and that would be anything 5/4 or 1.25 inches and thicker in thickness. Stud lumber, beams, 4x4s, 8x8s, things of that nature. What I consider dimensional lumber. Figuring out how much wood you have and estimating the cost of your the total cost of your job in particular that's a real tricky thing even for me. I've been doing this my whole life. This tool right here is called a scale stick. It's the most accurate way to tell how much wood volume, how many board feet are in a given log. Now the way this works is it measures the diameter of the log, figure 2 directions inside the bark on the small end, and it's up to the operator of this stick to take into account any crooks in that log, anything else that might impact the volume you're going to get back. And on one end of the stick it has varying lengths, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20 foot length. This will tell me whatever the diameter is. For example, an 8-foot log that's 12 inches in diameter, it's going to have 40 board feet in it. That's a quick example. As far as estimating the cost of a job over the phone, you can give me an average of your length and diameter and the number of logs you have, and I can give you a rough idea. It can vary a lot both ways depending on the quality of the logs, even how much dirt is on the logs. If you have really dirty logs, you're going to get less volume than if they were clean, because I'm going to saw those slabs way thicker than if they were clean logs, because I'm not going to run my blades through dirt more often than I have to. Sometimes you literally just take 4 cuts, square up the log, and start making lumber, which is not the best way to saw, but if they're dirty, that's what we got to do. As I said, I still do charge by the hour for certain jobs. Like I said, oddball cutting, when we're not making lumber, we're not making beams, we're cutting a log in half for mantle. And logs that are undersized, which to me, I pretty much make that a rule of 12 inches in diameter on the small end, and below I'm going to charge by the hour. And I charge by the hour meter on the machine, not by the clock. I take a long lunch break. People get upset if they thought they were paying for all that, but so when the machine's running, that's when you're paying. If you have small logs, the cost per board foot is going to go up compared to if you have larger logs. It's just going to take longer to process and less yield out of each log. That kind of protects me from investing a whole lot of time for a very small production. And that's something we can always talk about on the phone when you call me. There's a million factors into making this all cost effective for you and for me, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to be fair to everybody. The prices that I charge now are the same prices that we charged 10 or 15 years ago. The reason I haven't upped those prices is because the equipment nowadays is better and faster, so I'm able to produce more lumber in less time than we could back in the old days. I like charging by the hour. I liked it because it was safer for me. By the board foot is fair to everyone. We all know what it's going to cost. I can tell you how much one log is going to cost to have sawn. It's fair to me. It's fair to you, the customer. We all know what it's going to be going in. There's no sticker shock at the end of the job. Another thing on longer jobs, which a long job for me would be anything over 5 days. I will bill the customer after each 5 days, no matter how long I'm going to be there. If I'm going to be there for 6 days or 2 months, after the first week you're going to get a bill. I do that to protect myself from being burned. If you're at somebody's place 3-4 weeks, that's a lot of sawing, that's a lot of wood, that can get to be a pretty big bill. And some people just do not factor that in, and when they get the bill they kind of raise holy hell and oh my god, this is way more money than I wanted to spend, even if you advise them of that in the beginning. I've just found out over the years that it's just easier to keep up with it. Every 5 days or so is fair, I think, to me, and I think that's perfectly reasonable to anyone else. My customers that normally don't have a problem with that. It helps them keep on top of what they're spending. So it's kind of fair to all of us. I'll get to the scheduling. Scheduling is probably a way harder thing to figure out than how much it's going to cost. Paul's Axe is a one-man show. I'm a sole proprietorship. I am the only employee. owner, operator, whatever you want to call it. I used to employ people to do off-bearing and other things. I don't anymore. It's just simpler for me to work alone. I have no one else to keep track of. Sometimes I can't keep people busy enough to stick around for more than a few months. You know, in the wintertime gets slow, and that's totally understandable. And it's just easier for me to do this all alone. I work by myself 99% of the time. So basically everything that Paul's Axe does, I do. So, you know, some jobs get real big. Well, I'm only one guy. I can only move so much wood through the saw per day. It takes as long as it takes. Sometimes I get pretty backed up with the schedule, and I understand people's frustration with that, having to wait, you know, sometimes a few months before I can get to them. I apologize for that. It's just kind of the nature of this business. That's not, I'm not a huge company. I'm one guy with a sawmill. And I prefer to keep it that way. It keeps things simple. I only have to look after myself, worry about myself. As far as scheduling, picking a time, I would say what you would count on as a customer is when you call me, I put your name on a list. I don't keep a calendar. I keep a calendar maybe 2 weeks out ahead of where I'm at right now, and that's a rough estimate. I cannot pick dates and times. If it rains one day, I have to call everybody on my list and move them all back a day, and it's just something I've learned early on that is a losing battle. I'm the father of 2 small children at the moment that are in daycare. They get sick a lot, and when the daycare calls, Daddy's got to go. and there's nothing I can do about that. And hey, we're all in these spots in our lives, and I'm sure everyone will understand that, and everything that goes along with all that good stuff. So as far as me being there Friday the 17th at 9 a.m. in the morning, that's not something I do. I do understand that some jobs have time constraints, and some jobs people will want to be there when I am there, and it only works out for a certain time for them, and I'll do my best to arrange my schedule around that, but I will not make promises to be at any one place on any given date. I'll do my best, but there's just so many variables in this job that I do. A good example, not to get too long-winded with this, but last week I had a job. I had been there probably a week prior with the mill, found out that the site was nowhere near suitable to saw wood. The guy had maybe 15 logs. I told him we need to come back and move these with a bobcat, and we can go from there. When I showed up with the bobcat, in the meantime he'd gotten out his chainsaw, and he had 10 times the amount of wood on the ground that he did the first time. So I advised him that, okay, this is going to be, my original estimate on the cost for your bobcat time has obviously gone way up. The time to complete this job has obviously gone way up. For whatever reason, he didn't really grasp that concept, and it was, I need to have this done by Friday. This was on a Wednesday, and I just said, hey, I'm sorry, there's no way in that amount of time, you compounded your wood pile by tenfold. It's not going to happen, and I have other people that I had to be to on the following Monday or what have you. So he was not happy with me for that, but at the same time I feel like it should have been gone without saying that you add to the pile, it's going to take longer, and this is the way a lot of jobs go. You get there with the sawmill to cut 2 trees and the lumber, and the first thing that happens is they go get their chainsaw, and now you're there for what would have been one day, you're there a week. And sometimes I can stay there for that whole week and do that job, but if I have people that I'm trying to schedule, picking days on the calendar again, if I'm committed to that, I have to uphold that the best I can. And sometimes it goes one way, sometimes it goes the other, but that's how I do my scheduling. I take people one at a time as they call them in order when I talk to them. If you call and inquire, that doesn't put your name on a list. If you call and commit, that will. Okay, so we've talked a few times on the phone. You decide you want to do this. Okay, let's go ahead. I put a star by your name. You're one of the guys. When I get to your name, when I think I'm a week or 2 away, I call. Are we still going? Are we good? Get your address, all that good stuff, and we go from there. Another thing I should mention, is there is sales tax on this service. I know that sounds ridiculous. I think it's ridiculous. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not selling anything, but according to the state of Minnesota, I'm refining a product, and that dictates I charge sales tax. Um, so be aware of that, and there's two different sales tax rates for the area I'm in. I'm sure you're all familiar with what they are. So that's one more thing to factor into the cost of all this. But I think that's about all I can say about that. If there's any questions in any of this stuff, if you want to know what I charge per board foot for my two different rates for 1-inch lumber and for dimensional lumber, you can call me. If you want to know what I charge by the hour, you can call and talk to me and we can figure that out. And so that's something to consider too. If you want to bring wood to me, anticipate just leaving it here until I can get to it, and I will get to it as soon as I can. I kind of hate to sound like a broken record. Yes, I'll get to it, I'll get to it, I'll get to it. But at least this summer with these windstorms, I've just been swamped with work from that. We're really far behind. I'm starting to see light at the end of the tunnel now. Of course, we're coming into winter, but sometimes that's the way it goes. I get far behind, and not a lot I can do about that. I do my best to get it done as fast as I can. Like I said, I'm only one guy. I can only go so fast. It's kind of the way it is. But yeah, if you want to bring wood to me, bring it here, leave it here, and I'll call you when it's done, and we can coordinate a time for you to come and pick it up. I don't let people pick up their wood without paying for it. To me, that's theft, and it will be treated as such. If you want to come pick up your wood when I'm not here, I have a place you can leave money, that I leave a bill. I don't have to be here, but you do have to pay for it before you put it on the trailer. I think that's only fair to everyone, and the same thing applies when I'm on site. I'm not a real stickler about making people pay me immediately, although I like instant gratification just like everybody else likes instant gratification, I guess. I view it as you have your lumber, and now it's time for you to hold up your end of the bargain. I don't see that there would be ever an issue with that, so I understand if you're not there, you totally fine. I'll mail you a bill, you mail me a check. All done within a timely manner. I take payments. The only payment I take though is one payment of the full amount. I don't want people, I've had guys owe me $300, taking them a year to pay it off, and at that point they might as well not even pay me. Most people are good. 99% of the world, totally reliable. I've only been burned a few times in the decade or so I've been doing this, but that was enough times. The other thing I wanted to mention in regards to the scheduling, a lot of people that live up here do not live up here year-round. A lot of people own cabins and things like that. This is not something that you need to be there to help or to, some people want to be there just to oversee. When stuff is happening on your property, sometimes you want to be there to see what's going on, make sure the guy's trustworthy. I completely understand that. I like, when I was getting my house built, I built most of it myself. When I had the subcontractors here, it was kind of like I wanted to be here just to see how they did things, more or less, if I could. As far as on my end, it does not have to go that way. I do a lot of jobs where I never actually meet the customer. We talk on the phone. We do the billing through the mail. They don't live here. Whatever. It doesn't time out. I do not saw on the weekend. No Saturdays, no Sundays. I have a wife and a family, 2 kids, and they're my number one priority in life. And I will not sacrifice any of that time to make money. I will do what I need to for my family, but no weekends. The hours I keep are, I like to be working by 8 o'clock in the morning, and I quit at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Generally, regardless of what's going on, my kids are still pretty young. They go to bed pretty early at night, and I like to be able to be home to see them. As far as how long it takes me to complete a job, I believe that liability lies on me and me alone. The longer it takes me, the less money I'll make. The faster it goes, the more money I'll make. That's not something I'm going to let a customer lean on me. we need to get this done, blah, blah, blah. I understand that, but it will be done when it is done. I'm not going to speed things up and sacrifice quality and my reputation just to get in and out in a one-day thing. If I got to come back for 3-4 hours the next day, I will do that as opposed to stay until 7, 8 o'clock at night. I did that when I first started out, and every job is the same. You end up staying, you're burning the midnight oil on every day. It's easy to get down that path. I try to keep a pretty good normal schedule as best I can anyhow. But yeah, as far as how long it takes me to get through a pile of wood like this or like that or whatever, that liability lies with me. That I don't really, I understand, okay, we want this done today. You guys are up here for this day. We'll coordinate it out. I'll saw the wood. It'll all be done in one day. It's not always going to go that way. I might go home. There may only be 10 logs left to saw. So be it. I'll have to come back the next day. If that means you're gone, so be it. The billing in the mail, that's how that works. It'll be done when it gets done. I go as fast as I can all the time, every day, while maintaining my quality and all that good stuff. But the harder and faster I work, the more money I make, so I'm inclined to try to get things done as well. But I work 8 o'clock till 4 o'clock, and that's a rule I've set for myself, and it's worked out over the years. It's kept everyone happy. I think most people are more than happy with that. Every once in a while, you'll run into a guy that, if you're not here till 6 o'clock, you're not putting in enough time. Well, that's fine, that's your opinion, but it really has no bearing on the outcome of the job. It'll be done in a timely manner, and it takes as long as it takes, I guess. Anyhow, that's a little bit about how I price my services, and how I schedule my jobs and how that all works out, timing and all that stuff. It's kind of I know it seems like a roundabout kind of thing in a way. Oh, he's going to be here whenever. I do keep people informed. If you've been on the list a little while, I do touch base, even if I'm not coming, just to let you know I haven't forgot about you. Totally cool to call and harass me and bug me. Hey, just calling to check in. I get those calls a lot. It's good to hear from people, make sure they're still on board and they still want to do it. Some people do get frustrated with how long it takes. They end up changing their mind, whatever, and I understand that. It's completely understandable. When it gets busy, it can be a long wait, and I apologize if that's the case for you, but like I say, I do my best to get everyone done in a timely manner as best I can do, being a one-guy show. But anyway, if there's any more questions, like I said, you feel free to call me. My phone number is on my Facebook page here, I believe, and that goes right to my cell phone. If you want to know about the actual numbers and all that good stuff, and how far behind I am at any given time, go ahead and call and talk. We can go further from there. But anyway, it's October 10th today. It's 70 degrees. Probably going to be one of the last days like this, so I hope everybody's out there enjoying it. I know I am. Have a good day.